What is up, my fellow mobile gamers? In today's video, we got our tier list for Harry Potter Magic Awakened. We are going over some of the cards, not all of the cards, but as many as I could. So the way this is going to work is we're just going to do them by category. So I'll have timestamps down below. We're going to do the S tier, all of the S tier cards, A tier, B tier, and then finally towards the end of the video, the C tier. You're also going to notice at the top of the screen is going to be the list as we do it, just so it doesn't take up too much of the screen. At the end of the video, I'll show a full screen image of all of the cards thrown on the tier list. Quick disclaimer, as always, and it's crazy that I even have to say this because in other previous tier list videos I've made, people seem to not understand that tier lists are opinionated. There is not a tier list out there that is not someone's opinion. Okay, so just want to make sure that, you know, if you don't like the tier list, that's fine. This is a combination of my thoughts. I've talked to several other players, so it's kind of a combination of me and some community members thrown all together, because I do not have access to all of the cards we're going over, so I do have a lot of input from other people of where we're putting things. So let's go over our S tier first. We have, I'm really bad with names as well, especially because these are all these magic names, but I want to say abracadabra, alakazam, like it's Pokemon, but I know it's not Pokemon. But this one right here, this is actually our green card. We only have 2 green cards. This one is absolutely broken. I don't have it, but what I've been told. And if you just go ahead and you look at the details, you can just see that it is a very strong card. Hits a bunch of enemies. The damage goes ahead and it scales. Each opponent unit defeated by the curse increases its damage by 25%. We're gonna put that as our first card in the S tier. Next up, we have the second green card, Crucio. This is another one, just does some insane sustained damage, but also stuns the target. Next up we have is the legendary dragon. We got the baby, I don't know how to say this, but this is one of the 5 legendary cards that you do get to choose from when you are re-rolling at the beginning of your brand new account. Summons a baby dragon that breathes fire on opponent units, dealing AoE damage. Now I would say if you don't take Thunderstorm, this was going to be my second option because I really love this card. I think it's so strong because you're getting a summoned unit and it just, I mean, look at the fire. It's a huge AoE effect. Next up we have is everyone's favorite legendary card. This is supposedly the best spell card in the game. This is Thunderstorm. This is the one that everyone suggests that you take as your starting legendary card that you get to choose from. Summons a Thunderbird, does 15 bolts of lightning. Pretty much the best part about this card is the fact that it's just kind of skillless. You don't really need any type of skill to even do this. There's not a summon. It's just use it and you just get free damage, just tons of free damage. Next up we got is the Orb of Water. Cast Orb of Water, drawing in all opponents within range, deals damage over time, and at the end the orb explodes, deals massive damage. So I really like the fact that you can kind of just walk around while you're doing this. So it just gives you so much like control over the arena, as well as a ton of damage as well. So this is another one. It's just an absolutely devastating card. Next up we have is arguably, I would say, the most broken healing card in the game, and that is going to be the Phoenix. Summons a Phoenix, which will just continuously heal you. Now remember, it is a flying unit, so again, your opponent has to have some type of way to deal with flying units. So if they got all ground units or something, that just makes it even harder for them to deal with. But aside from that, every time it goes ahead and it's destroyed, it just leaves a pile of ashes and it just comes back again and again, up to, what is it, 3 times? But it casts it in the target direction and it lacerates the enemy. So the cool thing about this is that it bounces. You're getting like multiple target damage, right? If you take a look at the little video, it's going from the middle guy and then it's hitting the back person and it's hitting the other enemy. So you just get a lot of targets off of this damage. Next up, we got 2 more in our S tier list. We have the shield. I'm not even gonna try and say the name. This is the spell card that you actually get when you're just progressing through the story. So you get it for free and it is so strong. Now, the reason it's so strong is because cast a shield at a target location and it shields all ally units. All right, so the best part about this is it doesn't just like do 1 or 2 units. It's literally every ally unit that is in that circle gains a shield. So you can put shields on tons of your summons, you, yourself, your partner. And then finally, our last S tier card, we are going with another common. It has stupefied dealing damage and significantly knocks back the first opponent hit. So this one, I love the control. This is one of the strongest control cards in the game. And I say that because it is so easily accessible for everyone, because it's just a common. Easily made this an epic, you know, but they made this a common. So it's a very, very good card for new players to get used to. In fact, I say if you're a new player, I highly suggest you kind of put this card in your deck and really practice using it. All right, so above that is our S tier list cards. Next, we are going to be moving on to the A list. First up for our A tier list, we got the Poison to counter the spiders. I mean, this is literally a card that was strictly made just to counter the spiders, but obviously you can counter any big groups of multiple units. But definitely, I mean, this is pretty much the bread and butter to destroy the spiders. Throws a bottle of venom, deals damage over time, and slowing units. So I mean, you can also do it to slow units as well, but typically this is a very strong card because it has multiple uses. You're getting damage over time, you can take out multiple enemy units, and you also get the slows. Next up we got is the Bombtastic Bomb Box. Absolutely love this card. It's so strong. Easy strategy for new players to just go ahead and drop a bomb box and then use it with the spiders. So that way the spiders go ahead, the spiders move fast, and then they blow up and you just get lots of damage. But I mean, there is strictly decks that are built around the bomb box card. It is such a strong card. Next up we have is Ashwinder. This is the snake. For the cost of 3, you're getting a snake that goes ahead and makes smaller snakes that do AoE damage. So you're getting so much value from only a 3 cost. I mean, honestly, this I think should be like a 4. Next A card we got is the Protego Protect Diabolica. So this is really strong because like you're not only getting protection, like look at the protection in the video. You're getting tons of protection from just getting overwhelmed, right? But also you get that charge so that when your opponent does have those ranged summons, that fire dragon will then go ahead and will just go and just absolutely dominate them in the back line. Melee protection, and then once it's charged up, you're getting ranged protections. Next up we got as an epic, we got Tebow. I really like this card because of the control. You get that stun effect as well. And it's just all multiple units, right? So it's not just like the first unit hit or something, it's all units that are hit. Next up we got is an epic, and this is one that again you get from the story missions, just going ahead and playing the story. You get it for free. In fact, the game even shows you how to use it effectively. We got Weasley's Wildfire Whiz Bangs, pretty much just a bunch of fireworks that go off. But I mean, look at the damage in the circle. I mean, look at the video, and you just hit so many small units just absolutely get demolished. And even the big units as well take a big chunk of their health down. Very strong card. The only issue is you gotta make sure that like sometimes you pair it up with something so that way your enemy units don't kind of just wander away, right? You have to be very precise with this aim. And if you're very precise with this aim, it is so devastating. All right, next up we have is a rare, and this is Glacius. This is the Glacier Freezing spell. It hits up to 8 enemies, damages and slows them by 70%, right? You're getting slow, you're getting stunned, you're getting damage. It's so strong. Another one that possibly could be almost put in the S because you're getting just such good control effects from this card. Next card we have is, I don't know how to say this, a Pesky, I think. Casts a healing spell that continuously heals ally units. So this, again, this is such strong. I mean, it's just straight healing, and it's a lot of healing. So if you got one of those big, beefy summoned units out there that you want to keep alive, just drop this, and I mean, you do some insane healing on it. However, though, the spell can be interrupted, so that is one of the downsides to it. Next up we have is another rare. This is actually one of my favorites. I love the animation on this. atmospheric charm. We got just basically a cloud, a thunderstorm that goes ahead and just does a lot of single target damage. Even though your opponent may move and try and get out of it, it still goes ahead and continuously moves to try and find another opponent. Next one we got is another rare Bewitched Snowballs. Now this one, it was kind of tough for me to rank because I feel like it's just kind of tough between like the A and the B area, because I think it's a really amazing card, right? You get so much value from it because you get the damage, you get the control, but I think the most important thing that I want to just mention is the fact that the snowman isn't like a summoned character that has like health. The only problem is it's very, very precise. So, you know, if you miss that snowball, he just kind of sits there, and if there's no opponents or anything, then it's just kind of wasted. Next up we got is the Aguamenti. Aguamenti? Oh my gosh. This is the one that goes ahead and it continuously sprays the jets of water. And the thing that's really cool is you can go ahead and you can move. So the game does a whole tutorial where it teaches you how to use this card. And I love this one because it's just so good, because it's damage, movement, and you direct where the damage goes continuously. All right, we had to drop down to our second layer. So let me see if I can just kind of drop this so you can at least see. I'm gonna put it kind of right behind me for now, just so you can still see the names. We only got like one more left in the A. Next one we got is Insidio. This is just the fire, damages all enemies in the target area. Does a lot of good AoE damage, but that's pretty much it. If you miss with this card, it hurts so bad at a cost of 4. It is, but if you can land this card, you can wipe out multiple enemy units. All right, above that is our A tier list. Moving on to our B list. There's only a couple in the C, so the C will go quick. All right, for our first B tier list card we got is Nebulous. Bit of a, you know, it's kind of nichey, you know, like you get some invisibility, kind of cool, and you get some healing, but it's just, again, it's kind of a card that's like a situational. That's why it's in the B, because it's not like one that you can just kind of throw out there and just get a lot of value. Next up we got is Opungno. Opungno. So another one that's kind of nichey. It's cool because it kind of feels like your character's kind of protected, right, from enemies that kind of get close. You do some damage, but then they kind of just instantly go away is the problem. The good thing that I will say is that it is a very cheap card. It only costs 2, so you get a pretty decent amount of damage for only 2 cost of magic mana. Next B card we got is the Spiders. It's very easily counterable. I mean, a lot of people just have AoE damage and they instantly get destroyed. And the fact that it is like a 3 cost is kind of tough, because I mean, if it was a 2 cost, then it'd be like probably in the A tier. But the fact that it is kind of a costly unit card that can easily just be wiped out. All right, next up we got is Bludger. It's kind of cool. It's like very gimmicky. Like, it's cool that the fact that like he keeps coming back and forth like 5 times. The problem is though, like, you constantly have to move your character and line it up, and your opponent can easily know where you're going to go, right? Like, your opponent knows that you're going to try and hit it again so that you get the maximum value from it. So they can easily just be like, all right, this person, they're going to move in this location. And it just kind of makes your movement so predictable, which is why it's not a good card. Like, I can understand why it could be good. When you have it in your hand, it will turn into the last spell card you played, but with +1 MP. The problem with it is the fact that you may play a spell card that you just necessarily didn't want to play to duplicate, but you had to. So there's a lot of instances where this can just turn into a spell card that you don't necessarily want it to turn into. It's a very high skill card. Like, you have to have a lot of skill, a lot of thinking. And it's just kind of also has a little bit of luck involved as well. All right, next one we have is kind of a little bit controversial. I know, I love to stir up controversy. So this one right here, this is a legendary card, and we are putting it in the B area. So this is the locomotor, the one that summons the 2 stone soldiers. This is one of the legendary cards you get to choose from at the beginning of the game, 1 of 5. They're just tanks, right? So you just get 2 tanks, and that's pretty much it. Now, they don't deal a lot of damage. It's easily, like, you can just kind of easily deal with them with flying units, which is the problem with them. I know a lot of people will be like, oh, well, they're really strong and this and that. Well, yeah, but I mean, flying units just absolutely destroy them. I mean, like they demolish them. There's nothing they can do against flying units, and they just kind of just sit there and they just take it. Next one we got is another one that is a legendary card. This is the fire snake that you go ahead and summon. The problem with this is it's completely stationary and it's very easy to be dealt with. A win more card that wants to try and deal with enemy opponents like AoE. Like, the problem with it is the fact that, like, every time it increases its size and attack when a unit is defeated. So, like, against like spiders can be good, right? And then it can start to like attack multiple units. It becomes easily susceptible to any kind of targeting. You can easily target it with any kind of spell. It just basically becomes a sitting duck, and it's a very, very high cost. It's 7. All right, and our final B card we have is the Carcereus. Incarcerate. Basically, you're incarcerating them. You're locking them down. It's a great setup card, right? But like, it's not a card that you can just throw out there and be like, oh man, I got great value from it. It's like, you got to use it in combination with a follow-up, right? So it's a 3 cost, and then you got to follow it up with something that does like AoE damage, like the Weasley fireworks box, or just something that's going to bring it more value. All right, and finally moving on to our C tier list. We only got, we only got 2 cards in the C area. First one we got is the broomstick. Seems kind of cool, right? But it's really just, I mean, the only real good usage for it is the fact that it goes ahead and it removes the slow and bind effects. Doesn't really do a lot of damage. It's a 2 cost. Honestly, I wouldn't put it in my deck because it just feels like I could put a better card. It's like, why play this in my deck when there's so many better cards out there? It just kind of takes up a spot in your deck. The next one we got is the Niffler. Epic card, 2 costs, summons the Niffler. He goes ahead and he digs for buried treasure, periodically finds the gold coins, which just kind of gives you 1 MP. The problem with this is you gotta have him get at least 2 just for him to pay for himself. So the fact that he doesn't do any damage, your opponent can easily deal with him. I mean, he just wanders around trying to find you more MP. He's one of those units that is just, it can be easily destroyed because he wanders. Pretty much anytime anyone sees someone drop a Niffler, it's easily dealt with. Even if they don't deal with it immediately, again, you have to get it to dig 3 times before you go +1. If it digs twice, it just pays for itself, and at that point, like, but it didn't really do anything for you. It didn't do any damage. It didn't generate you any kind of value. So you really have to just get a lot from it before you even just get a +1 in the mana system. So this is one that's just like, it's not that great. All right, my friends, and there it is, the full tier list from S to C. Again, we did not cover all of the cards. Feel free to rank whatever cards I did not mention down below in the comment section. Stay happy, stay safe. I hope y'all enjoyed it. It was a long one. I'll see y'all later with another video. Peace.